Hello everybody. I just got back from the Remembrance Day parade at, with it being the 11th, it's Remembrance Sunday. It's the first Sunday after the 11th of November, which everybody knows is the anniversary of the end of the First World War. And I thought to myself, well, I'm there remembering, but why? Why does it mean so much to me? Well, as you know, I've already explained to you that I've got a very great interest in history, and you have to excuse me a moment. Dear God, the hands fell off my pipe. Let me tell you a little story about a little family of mum and dad and 5 kids that lived in a little suburb of Manchester called Sale. It's like a little town. And anyway, there's a family there, Alf and Celia. Now they had 5 children at the turn of the century. The eldest son was Bill. The second was Ralph. Third was Charlie. Fourth was a little girl by the name of Lil. And the youngest was Fred. Of course, they grew up in turbulent times, and World War I came around. And the 2 eldest, Bill and Ralph, went to do their bit. Now, Bill joined the Royal Welsh Fusiliers in Llandudno in 1915. But because he used to work on the railways, the army got wind of that, and he was transferred to the Royal Engineers and eventually ended up in Mesopotamia, which is around the Iraq area of the Middle East, fighting against the Turks. And because he was a railwayman, he was employed in the supply chain of reinforcing the frontline troops. And so he was part of the advance into that neck of the woods. But I want to talk to you today about the second son, Ralph Alfred Cottrell. He joined up in 1916. He went into a town called Altrincham and joined up, and he actually joined the Cheshire Regiment. He was assigned the number 62035, Private R.A. Cottrell of the Cheshire Regiment. And a picture of him will pop up about now. So there he is. You can see he's a young man. And he went off to do his bit with the Cheshire Regiment. But unfortunately, as fighting progressed, losses were coming in, and there was a regiment called the Royal Warwickshire Regiment suffered heavy losses, and their ranks needed bolstering. So Ralph was transferred to the Royal Warwickshire Regiment from the Cheshires, and he was in the 2nd 6th Battalion of the Royal Warwickshire Regiment. So he was with them. And during the advance of the Battle of Passchendaele in Belgium in 1917, his company was ordered to attack 3 dug-in German machine gun emplacements just outside, on some raised ground, just outside the little Belgian village of Zornbeck, just outside of Ypres, where they had 3 fortified machine gun emplacements, and they were asked to attack it. Unfortunately, on that day, Ralph was killed. It was between the 5th and the 6th of September 1917. They never found him, unfortunately. So he's got no known grave, But on Hill 35 there is a small British cemetery with a number of unknown graves to the Warwickshire Regiment, so I dare say he's in there. But his name is on the wall of the unknown at the Tyncott British Military Cemetery, and is also commemorated on the Sale War Memorial outside the Town Hall. Now, this business with Ralph has always intrigued me. So I thought, well, what actually happened on that day? Why no known grave? What happened? And if you'll give me a minute, I've got here the war diary of that day's fighting. It's been mimeographed, so it's not the easiest to read. But I've got the highlights, and I'll read it to you. And this is a 19-year-old young man. If you'll just bear with me. September 1917. The day was quiet apart from occasional heavy shelling on Pomeran Castle. 6-inch and 8-inch howitzers shelled Hill 35 all day with armour-piercing and delayed Axton shells. There were no reports of direct hits against the German positions. Some fell near their own lines, meaning they fell short, but there was also harassing fire of the Germans with the 18-pounders. This paved the way for the main attack at 8:45. That evening, B Company, led by Captain B.R. Saunders, attacked the east of Pomeran Castle, following a creeping barrage that began at the line, roughly halfway between Pomeran Castle and the German gun emplacements. At 0+5, the creeping barrage crept, followed by B Company. At 0+10, the artillery lifted off Hill 35 and continued on a protective line of fire beyond the targets. The company's assault, which was much broken up by heavy machine gun fire, fell short, but some portions of the second and third waves reached the gun emplacements where there was severe hand-to-hand fighting for over an hour. The German heavy guns responded to an SOS from their positions, and the heavy bombardment fell on the attacking troops, namely Ralph and his colleagues. Having been unsuccessful, a second SOS was sent out by the Germans, where they responded to a second heavy artillery support. It made it very difficult for the Warwickshires to withdraw. Eventually, the fighting stalled and the lads were pulled back. Further artillery made that very difficult. And despite some parties still trying to get into the emplacements, the company was withdrawn at 11:30. The war diary records 13 killed and 56 wounded, with 7 men missing. So, as you can see, it was quite a day. And Ralph was right in the middle of that. A 19-year-old lad sent to do his bit. In Tyncott, along the back of the wall, there is a row of names to those with no known grave. There's 200 names on each one of those plaques, and Ralph's on one of them. There he is. Look, this is a... There we are. Cottrell. R.A. Ralph Cottrell. Killed in action. September 1917, aged 19 years old. That's why we wear the poppy. And that's why it's important. I hope this wasn't too depressing. It was more of a remembrance, and why we remember, and why it's vitally important we continue to remember. Because these were just young lads who went to do their bit. God bless them all. 29411. Private R.A. Ralph Cottrell, the army called him. But to our family, it was Uncle Ralph. and he was my great uncle. Never met the lad because, of course, what happened before I was born. But just shows you, affected every single family. And that's our little war story. Uncle Ralph, God bless you, lad.